Dr. Aphra goes to Moraband, plus we find out the secret for how Admiral Holdo colors her hair. All in this week's episode of Star Wars Weekly. Hello fellow Star Wars fans and welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, however, welcome. I talk about Star Wars a heck of a lot, from the comics, novels, TV series, video games, and more. So if that sounds cool to you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button to help support the channel. With that being said, I want to get into the comics right away. We have Galaxy's Edge issue number 4 to talk about. This is subnamed The Betrayal of Kashyyyn, I hope that's how you pronounce it. So we pick up right in this issue where the First Order are tracking down what they think are as resistance soldiers, and it turns out that they aren't, but there are still resistance hiding out on Batuu. And the cool thing about this is they show the Tread Speeder. This is a brand new vehicle that was actually at Star Wars Celebration. They had it on display. I was like 2 feet away from this thing. It's something that's going to be in The Rise of Skywalker, so I like that synergy. They also had the TIE Echelon. I hope that appears in The Rise of Skywalker, so we get to see these new ship types, which always makes me excited. But that was just the beginning of the comic, because then we go back to the perspective of Hondo Ohnaka, who has made a deal with one of these outlaws that is trying to get this sword. It's from their perspective. They're trying to get this sword. They have half of the sword. They have the hilt, I believe, or no, they have the blade. We have the character of Dok Ondar, who has the actual hilt, so they are trying to go in and pull this heist off. And well, they need Hondo, the outlaws, to get that out of the planet because it is being blockaded by the First Order. So they need somebody who's able to get past the blockade. Apparently Hondo is their guy to do that. But they do go take a trip down memory lane when Dok Ondar is telling Hondo about this archaeologist that he once hired to get this sword originally, get this, from Moraband. So we go into this flashback of Dr. Aphra going to Moraband, going through all these Indiana Jones type traps in the Sith Temple. She gets the sword, gets double-crossed by Dok Ondar, and is basically left there for dead. He's going to tell us the rest of this continuation of this story with Dr. Aphra in the final issue, which comes out next month. Or at this point of the video, it will be this month. You know, it's August 1st if this video goes out. But anyway, this does lead us to the current event where the First Order does show up at Dok Ondar's Den of Antiquities. Say that 3 times as fast. And, well, things aren't looking so great for the outlaws, who thought this would be a lot easier to get this loot for their supplier than they thought it would be. So getting into the things that I really liked about this issue is, holy crap, guys, again, we have gone back to Moraband. I think this is the first time we actually see Moraband since Season 6, the Lost episodes of the Clone Wars, in which Yoda goes there, finds Darth Bane. It's like one of the greatest episodes. It's actually the last episode of the Clone Wars up until we get the new season on Disney+. So I did not expect this at all. And this is perfect. I mean, Dr. Aphra, who else would go into a Sith Temple and try to get artifacts but her? We haven't even seen a story this enticing in her actual series or in the Darth Vader series, which I find just comical. Like, okay, we're going to get the good stuff. And I'm not saying that it's bad storytelling. I love the Dr. Aphra comics. I think they're amazing. I have plenty of my reviews on the channel you can check out. But this was just a surprise that is a welcome surprise for sure. So just jumping into more things here. We have these, Aphra, first off, has to wear a gas mask. So that sets off some alarms for me. Like, okay, so Yoda was able to breathe the air, but I guess the humans can't process the air. So yeah, pretty nitpicky kind of thing to say, but maybe it's their sandstorms. She has to use that for fear of that. But just the overall aesthetic of Moraband, which used to be called pretty much Korriban in Legends with the Old Republic and whatnot. So we hear about the story about this blade of Kashyyyn, and it was once created by a Dewoitan Sith, who, think of Grumgar, the big guy. Yeah, he apparently was a Sith, one of his species was a Sith that created this blade because he thought that the people that use lightsabers were weak, and if you were able to wield this big sword, you would be a proven person that would be powerful. So anyway, that's kind of the story behind that. And we also see that he's mummified. There's a mummified Duotin. So that's what I like about this whole aesthetic of Moraband, because it really does replicate our version, our world's Egypt is like basically what this is looking like it's based off of. There's lots of traps. The one guy who is actually a Shistavean, these wolf people, which we haven't seen enough of those in canon, so I really appreciate seeing a few of those guys. Sets off a trap. We have like a Darth Bane type sentry looking thing that just straight up kills him, which I thought was really awesome. We also get the reemergence of Sith Hounds. I mean, they don't say it's a Tukata, which was in the Old Republic, but that makes me extremely excited. Like, man, they are really blowing open the doors of the Sith with this issue, which it's not even completely focused on. It's just in a random series of comics that are based around Galaxy's Edge. Like, who would have thought we would have gotten Moraband in a tie-in to a Disney theme park? I mean, that's just crazy to me. We also see Dok Ondar actually being good in defense. He's actually takes out 000, who was actually going to kill him anyway. We see more development, or not development, more features of BT1, Dr. Aphra's droid. He has like a little like probe droid he can shoot out of his head to go look at things. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this issue was just so damn good just for the fact of, again, looking at the Sith, who would think that this issue would exist. So yeah, I mean, overall, I've really liked the miniseries. We've gotten some stuff about Coyote Mundi, some stuff about Greedo, which is very insightful, some stuff about Han Solo and Baby Sarlacc. So they've really expanded the universe with this comic series, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who this person is that wants his blade, that Kima or whatever her name is going to give, the Outlaws are going to give to that. So things are really heating up going into this final issue. So jumping into the last issue we have is Age of Resistance Special Issue #1. This is an extra large issue and it includes stories on BB-8, Maz Kanata, and Vice Admiral Holdo. So the first one with Maz is called Maz's Scoundrels. So it has Han, Chewie, and Maz on a mission. Maz needs to get this item back from this Deveronian warlord, so they go to this ice planet, and, well, I wasn't that happy with the story, so basically what happens is they end up teaming up. There's a little bit back and forth between Chewie and Maz. Of course, there's that connection that we see in The Force Awakens, and, well, they find this Deveronian, and they get this item back, and what is the item? It's actually a helmet. It appears Sith in origin, but it could be an Inquisitor helmet, so that's pretty interesting. What I liked seeing about this one is, again, that just relationship between Chewie, Han, and Maz, knowing that they have a history before The Force Awakens, although we have seen that in some of the books and in Battlefront 2 as well. The next story we have is called The Bridge. This one is based on Vice Admiral Holdo, and at this point, it's during the Empire. Again, this is why this is kind of weird, because a lot, 2 out of 3 stories are actually based in the Galactic Civil War. So they are on a blockade runner. She is just a minister at this point. She's a political figure. She's not really a war hero. But what happens is they get ambushed by a Star Destroyer. The captain dies. She's the next one in charge based on her rank in politics. So she takes command. They get trapped by a tractor beam. She has the idea to fire off the guns, destroy the hull to get them free of the tractor beam, to get them out of there. And that's what it takes. And that is the defining moment in Vice Admiral Holdo's career, because that's where we see her go from a political figure to a character that is more of a war hero that we see in Resistance. So that's why I appreciate that story, is because we see that. We also see how she uses these plants. She harvests these plants to dye her hair. So other than that, that's pretty much what we learn about her in that one. And the last story is about BB-8, and it's called Robot Resistance. So this one, I'm not sure if it's before the events of The Force Awakens or after the events of The Last Jedi. I'm pretty sure it's after The Last Jedi, because Leia, at the end of the mission, does say to Poe, Commander Poe Dameron. So I know he gets that title back at the end of The Last Jedi. But anyway, this mission is about BB-8. It's got to get some intelligence from a First Order base. He is being kind of talked through this whole mission via comlink with Poe, and he's telling him he's got to do the mission, even though he stumbles upon these droids that are being pretty much tortured with electrical devices. He decides he can't sit by and watch this thing happen, so he saves these droids. The droids end up saving him. Then they end up, basically setting this thing to explode with these thermal charges. They get out of there, and well, now they have a lot more droids in the Resistance. So that was this week's Age of Resistance story. I was not really that happy about this special, to be honest with you. We learned a little bit about Admiral Holdo, but that's about it. I am looking forward to Poe Dameron, Hux, Rose Tico. Like, I think from this point on, we're going to really dive deep into these characters in new territory and unfold these new layers to these characters. And my question this week comes to me on Twitter from James M., the Crazy Gamer Historian. He's saying, hashtag Star Wars Weekly, which Star Wars show's first season stands out? Clone Wars, Rebels, or Resistance? That one's easy for me. Resistance. Yeah, it's not the most likely, it's not the most popular one, but the way that the series unfolds and it builds up in intensity towards the end, and it just goes in all-out climactic mode where things matter and things have consequences and things link into The Force Awakens beyond what I ever expected. And the characters, you feel for what they're going through, the layers. Clone Wars season 1 is a little bit rough. There's not as much obviously the fidelity, the creation of the animation is not as good or as season 5 or 6, but I feel like the storylines, the arcs weren't as compelling in further seasons as well. I really do love season 1 of Rebels. I think it is one of the strongest seasons of any animated series I've watched, and it does so because it's based around a tight-knit family of characters that progresses through everything in those last couple episodes, just like how Resistance plays out. Really hits hard, really makes a compelling storytelling. So if you want to get your questions answered by me on next week's show, you can get them into me using hashtag Star Wars Weekly in either the comment section below or on Twitter at Starrapter. So next week we could look forward to another new Star Wars book. This one ties in with Galaxy's Edge. It's called Star Wars Myths and Fables, and we also have Star Wars number 70. So what do you guys think of this week's big reveals in comics? I'm talking about that Moraband reveal. What do you think of that? Let's talk about the Sith and all that in the comment section below. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I talk about Star Wars all the time. I just put out my review of Thrawn Treason. Make sure you go ahead and check that out. So that is going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.